Majid Tebboune has reaffirmed the state's commitment to carry on its support for national and foreign investors, to facilitate investment procedures and to give greater impetus to non-hydrocarbon exports. Entrusted by the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad, Ahmed Attaf, is paying an official visit to Poland aimed at reinforcing bilateral relations. Iranian voters or Iranians are voting today for a new president from a tightly controlled group of 4 candidates following the death of Ibrahim Raisi in a helicopter crash. And President Joe Biden and Donald Trump have squared off in the first debate of the 2024 United States presidential race, seeking to pull ahead in a matchup that has so far been in a dead heat. Those were the headlines and other news in detail from Radio Algeria International. First in our news, the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has reaffirmed the state's commitment to carry on its support for national and foreign investors, to facilitate investment procedures and to give greater impetus to non-hydrocarbon exports. More details with our colleague Majid Miller.
During a special program broadcast on national television on the occasion of the inauguration by the President of the Republic of the 55th edition of the Algiers International Fair, the head of state reiterated the government's desire to support project leaders and industrial companies in expanding the investments, particularly in the fields of electronics, steel and agri-food industries. In his discussions with several representatives of companies present at the fair, the President of the Republic welcomed the progress made by the national industrial sector, in particular the increase in the rate of national integration in recent years, highlighting the provision of public authorities to engage in solutions and innovations proposed by start-ups. In this regard, and during his stop at the stand of the Algerian Agency for Investment Promotion, the President of the Republic insisted on the need to accelerate and facilitate investment procedures, calling on agency officials to pay particular attention to certain provinces, including Saïda, Julfa, Laghouat and Khanchla, in terms of facilitating the implementation of investment projects in many sectors. In the field of agri-food industries, the President of the Republic took note of the project of Civital Group in the field of oil, seed and sugar beet cultivation, stressing that must be a production of at least 2.5 to 3 million tons of oil seeds be achieved to be able to lift the restrictions on the export of edible oils. He also called on the group to invest in oilseed farms in the provinces of Adrar, Salah, Al-Bayad and Wargla to contribute to national food security, highlighting the importance of the contribution of pilot farms in the agri-foods industries. Concerning the industrial sector, the President of the Republic said he was satisfied with the integration rates achieved by the Condor Group in the field of household appliances and electronic products, in particular smartphones, which range between 40 and 80%. Concerning railway infrastructure, the President of the Republic emphasized the strategic and urgent nature of the railway line projects in the south of the country, particularly citing the mining lines of Garaj Bilat, Tindouf and Bled al-Hadba, Anaba. The President of the Republic also visited the stand of military industry enterprises affiliated with the Ministry of National Defense, where he inquired about the latest achievements of these pioneering companies in terms of weapons such as the precision rifle of 100% Algerian design and the drone system like the Sakr al-Jazair prototype. Nearly 700 national and foreign exhibitors representing 32 countries are participating in the 55th edition of the FIA, which will continue until next Saturday at the Pan Maritime Exhibition Hall in Algiers. Organized under the high patronage of the President of the Republic, this international event, which confirms each year its status as the leading economic event, is held under the theme Exchange Gateways and Partnership and Investment Opportunities, with Turkey as guest of honor.
And the 55th Algiers International Fair is continuing this weekend, with a large number of visitors flocking to find about the products offered for the 2024 edition. Jamal Salmani has more details.
The fair provides an exceptional opportunity for Algerian and foreign companies to promote new partnerships, develop connections, and make their products and services better known to the Algerian market. We visited the fair today and met with the Director General of Sinova Company, Mr. Blitita Jamil, which is the official partner of Samsung in Algeria. He told us about his company's participation.
As for our second consecutive participation in the fair after the launch of production in 2023, marked by the successful completion of a mega production complex in Sétif for television, refrigerator and washing machine in the best score time of 18 months. We want to mark our comeback from 2024 to the Algerian market by offering high-quality products with reasonable prices. For our future projects, the company intends to continue its investment series to strengthen its production tool with the new factories of air conditioner, dishwashers, cooking products and mobile phones. Also, the company will open up to export from 2025 to penetrate African and Arabic markets and why not the European ones, inshallah.
The Algiers International Fair offers networking opportunities through thematic workshops and B2B meetings organized for exhibiting companies and professional visitors. We also met with the marketing manager of TCL Electronics here in Algeria, Mr. Belqadi Mehdi. He told us about the company's first participation in the fair.
We joined Algeria market since June 2023. Now we are, of course, in partnership with Bisma Distribution, which is our distributor here in Algeria and also our manufacturer. This is the first time for us to participate in this international fair of Algiers, which is a really big and interesting event for us because bring a lot of visitors daily. It's kind of big windows for our brand. So we participated for this event for the first time, and I hope we will do it each year to increase our brand awareness, to make the visitors to know more about our product, to let them test our product also, to discover our product, because TCL is one of the biggest brands in the world in terms of TVs and air conditioners. We are number 2 global ranking number 2 in 2022 and also 2023. The thing that we are happy about is the acceptance of our brand from the Algerian market. A lot of people are requesting our product, TVs especially, and it makes us really happy because we found our public, if I can say.
The Algiers International Trade Fair is a major economic event and one of the most important exhibition fairs in Africa, encompassing all sectors in a single, high-profile, multinational event. The fair annually attracts hundreds of exhibitors from all over the world, as well as hundreds of thousands of visitors.
And the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has instructed the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad, Ahmed Attaf, to pay an official visit to Warsaw, capital of the Republic of Poland. The visit reflects the common will of both parties to reinforce historical relations between Algeria and Poland in its various aspects and dimensions, and to intensify political dialogue on issues at the heart of the concerns and priorities of both countries at regional and international levels. Mr. Attaf will hold a working session with his Polish counterpart, Radoslaw Sikorski, as well as a meeting with representatives of the national community settled in this friendly country. The exceptional revision of the electoral lists ended on Thursday ahead of the presidential elections slated for next September 7. Jamal Salmani gives us more details.
The kickoff of this operation was given on June 12 under a presidential decree convening the electorate for the holding of the early presidential election. During the next 5 days following the announcement of the closure of the exceptional revision, any citizen whose name does not appear on the electoral list can submit his complaint to the President of the Electoral Administrative Commission in the same way as any citizen registered on the electoral list. One of the list of the electoral district can make a justified claim for the removal of any unduly registered person, as provided for in the organic law relating to the electoral regime. In accordance with this law, the President of the Municipal Popular Assembly or the head of the diplomatic or consular representation must notify the decision of the Electoral Administrative Commission within a period not exceeding 3 days to the parties concerned by any legal means in accordance with Article 68 of the said law. The exceptional revision of the electoral lists took place under the supervision of the National Independent Electoral Authority, which is responsible under Article 53 of the Organic Law relating to the electoral system for keeping, in accordance with current legislation, a national voters' file.
And the third ordinary session of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe was closed in Strasbourg, France, with the participation of the People's National Assembly. A communiqué issued by the parliamentary institution indicated that on the sidelines of the session organized on June 24 and 28, deputies Boutelja Alla and Brahim Dekhinat held several meetings on different subjects, including the dangerous situation experienced by the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip and other occupied territories. During the session, the representatives of the Assembly stressed the need to put an end to the principle of double standards regarding the Palestinian cause. And the Minister of Youth and Sports, Abdurrahman Hamad, has co-signed at the ministry's headquarters in Algiers with the Montenegrin Deputy Prime Minister for Demography and Youth, Dragoslav Sičić, a memorandum of understanding between the two countries in the field of youth and sports. Majid Mullah has more details.
The signing ceremony of the Memorandum of Understanding, which took place in the presence of delegations from both countries, followed a meeting between Hamad and Dragoslav and the accompanying delegation. The Memorandum of Understanding, the first of its kind in the field of youth and sports between the two countries, aims to encourage youth and sports activities on the basis of the principles of reciprocity, understanding and common interest. Within the framework of this memorandum, both parties agreed to foster and develop sports activities and traditional games and sports, as well as sport adapted to people with specific needs. On this occasion, the Minister of Youth and Sports, Hamad, expressed his deep gratitude for the initiative of the first visit of an official delegation of the Republic of Montenegro to Algeria, reporting the elaboration of a rich program including the visit of several sports and youth facilities and structures of which Algeria abounds. For his part, Dragoslav said that both have a common history and their country has supported Algeria in its national struggle for independence. They hope to follow the same path of cooperation and mutual understanding. In the same context, the chairman of the Supreme Council of Youth, Mustafa Hidawi, has received in Algiers the Montenegrin Deputy Prime Minister in charge of demography and youth, Dragoslav, who is visiting Algeria. For his part, Mr. Hidawi said that the meeting was an opportunity for the two sides to exchange data and information concerning the youth of the two countries, stressing that it was agreed to the exchange of visits and activities between the young people of the two countries.
In the international arena now, Iranians are voting today for a new president following the death of Ibrahim Raisi in a helicopter crash. They have to choose from a tightly controlled group of 4 candidates loyal to the supreme leader at a time of growing public frustration. The details with our colleague Jamal Salmani.
Spokesman for Iran's Constitutional Council, Hadi Tahan Nazif, has said that nearly 53,000 polling stations have been set up in more than 95 states for the country's 14th presidential election. He made the remarks at a press conference in the Iranian capital Tehran while elaborating on the details of the upcoming election and voting process. Nazif stressed that following the painful death of former President Ibrahim Raisi in a helicopter crash on May 19, the entire preparatory process of the snap election was completed in close to 40 days. He said election observers, including those of the Constitutional Council, would be present at all polling stations inside the country and abroad to supervise the voting process according to law. He stressed that the Iranian Interior Ministry would be the official reference for announcing the election results, advising the candidates and their fans against any hasty speculation following the voting process. Iran's 14th presidential election, initially set for 2025, was rescheduled following Raisi's unexpected death.
And in New York, the spokesperson for the Secretary General, Stepan Dujarric, has said that access constraints continue to hamper aid operations in Gaza Strip, where health conditions continue to worsen there due to crowded shelters and other reasons.
in the occupied Palestinian territory. I can tell you that our colleagues in the Office of the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs warn that access constraints continue to hamper aid operations, including efforts to scale up nutrition support. Our partners report that limited access in the north is preventing the establishment of new nutrition services center in that area. Meanwhile, in central Gaza, difficulties continue finding adequate space to set up nutrition sites in Deir el-Balah and Khan Yunis areas. However, our humanitarian partners are continuing their efforts to expand their presence in those areas, as well as in the Al-Mawasi and in Gaza City. UN Relief and Works Agency, UNRWA, says people in Gaza are living surrounded by piles of waste and sewage. Health conditions continue to worsen due to crowded shelters, lack of food, water and fuel, minimal access to medical supplies, and the summer heat that is hitting Gaza.
That was the spokesperson for the Secretary General, Stefan Dujarric. Talking to reporters in New York, the director of the Office of Emergencies and Resilience at the Food and Agriculture Organization, Rain Paulson, has warned that there is a risk of famine in Sudan.
14 months into the conflict, Sudan is facing the worst levels of acute food insecurity ever recorded by IPC in the country. Over half the population, 25.6 million people, face crisis or worse conditions, IPC 3 or above, from June to September 2024, coinciding with the lean season. And in the same period, some 755,000 people face catastrophe, IPC Phase 5, in 10 states, including the 5 states of Greater Darfur, as well as South and North Kordofan, Blue Nile, Al Jazeera State, and Khartoum states. Some 8.5 million people, approximately 18% of the population within that group, are classified as being in emergency IPC Phase 4. And there is a risk of famine in 14 areas, localities, and clusters, affecting both residents, internally displaced people, and refugees. President Joe Biden and Donald Trump have squared off in the first debate of the 2024 United States presidential race, seeking to pull ahead in a matchup that has so far been in a dead heat. But despite delivering the opening salvo in Thursday's event, Biden struggled to articulate his points, as at several moments appearing to fumble for his word. Trump took the opportunity to redirect the conversation at several points to Biden's perceived weaknesses, drumming up fears about immigration and the state of the economy. The debate was unusual for several reasons, not least because of its historically early timing. Both Biden and Trump pushed to move the first presidential debate of the election cycle to June to avoid overlaps with early voting, which begins in some states in September. And finally, Bolivian authorities have marched handcuffed detainees in front of the media, announcing 17 arrests in the aftermath of the failed coup d'etat in a country facing a serious economic crisis. Majid Mela has more.
The institutional storm only blew a few hours, but enough to reveal the fragilities of the country as appetites for the presidential election of 2025 are sharpened. The motives of the army leader, Juan José Zuniga, who had installed men and tanks in Morelos Square facing the parliament and the presidential palace, remain confused. Before his arrest by the police, followed by that of Marine Chief Juan Arnez Salvador, the two men are being prosecuted for armed uprising and terrorism and face up to 20 years in prison. General Zuniga said that he wanted to restructure democracy to make it a true democracy, not that a few masters who lead the countries for 30 or 40 years. President RT degrading General Zuniga and swearing in a new command of the armed forces on Wednesday claimed instead that it was a coup attempt by soldiers who dirtied the uniform. On Thursday, he presented to the media 15 other people arrested, handcuffed, surrounded by police officers. The operation had been planned since May, he said, adding that these other suspects were wanted. According to Mr. Del Castillo, the plan to overthrow Mr. Arzi was led by Mr. Zuniga and Mr. Arnez. The United Nations on Thursday called for a thorough and impartial investigation into allegations of violence.
With this last piece of news, we come to the end of this news bulletin. Time now for our weekly program, and we'll meet you again tomorrow for a fresh edition of our news bulletin. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to this fresh edition of Inspiring Figures. During the holy month of Ramadan, we invite you to listen to our special programs on prominent figures who marked the Islamic Golden Age, a period of cultural, economic, and scientific flourishing in the history of Islam, traditionally dated from the 8th to the 14th century. Shed light on a prominent scientist who is astronomer, geographer, and founder of several branches and basic concepts of mathematics. The terms algebra and algorithm are familiar to all of us, but how many have heard of their originator, Muhammad al-Khwarizmi? In geography, he revised and corrected Ptolemy's view and produced the first map of the known world in the year 830. He worked on measuring the volume and circumference of the Earth and contributed to work related to clocks, sundials, and astrolabes. His full name is Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi. Al-Khwarizmi refers to his birthplace, Khwarizm, modern Khiva, south of the Aral Sea. He was born around 780 in the town of Kath, part of Khwarizm. Kath is now buried in the sand. He died around 850. He was summoned to Baghdad by Caliph al-Ma'mun and appointed court astronomer. From the title of his work, Hisab al-Jabr wal-Muqabala, or Book of Calculations, Restoration and Reduction, algebra or al-Jibr derived its name. Algebra symbolizes the depth of Western culture to Muslim mathematics. Ironically, when it first entered the English language, it was used as a term for the setting of broken bones and even sometimes for the fractures themselves. This reflects the original literal meaning of the Arabic word jabr, reuniting of broken bones, from the verb jabara, to reunite. The anatomical connotations of this meaning were adopted when the word was borrowed as algebra into Spanish, Italian, and medieval Latin, from one or other of which English acquired it. In Arabic, however, it had long been applied to the solving of algebraic equations. The full Arabic expression was Ilm al-Jabr wal-Muqabala, literally the science of reunion and equations. And the mathematician al-Khwarizmi used al-Jabr as the title of his treatise on algebra. In the 12th century, Gerard of Cremona and Robert of Chester translated the algebra of al-Khwarizmi into Latin. Mathematicians used it all over the world until the 16th century. A Latin translation of a Muslim arithmetic text was discovered in 1857 at the library of the University of Cambridge. It is believed that this is a copy of al-Khwarizmi's arithmetic text, which was translated into Latin in the 12th century by Adelar of Bath, an English scholar. Al-Khwarizmi gave his name to the history of mathematics in the form of algorithm, the old name for arithmetic. Al-Khwarizmi was a mathematician, astronomer, and a geographer. He was perhaps one of the greatest mathematicians who ever lived, as he was the founder of several branches and basic concepts of mathematics. He influenced mathematical thought to a greater extent than any other medieval writer. His work on algebra was outstanding, as he not only initiated the subject in a systematic form, but he also developed it to the extent of giving analytical solutions of linear and quadratic equations, which established him as the founder of algebra. His astronomical and trigonometric tables, revised by Maslama al-Majriti in the second half of the 10th century, were translated into Latin as early as 1126 by Adelar of Bath. They contained the first Muslim tables and contained not simply the sine function but also the tangent. His arithmetic synthesized Greek and Hindu knowledge and also contained his own contribution of fundamental importance to mathematics and science. Thus, he explained the use of zero, a number of fundamental importance developed by the Arabs. Similarly, he developed the decimal system so that the overall system of numerals, algorithm, is named after him. In addition to introducing the Indian system of numerals, now generally known as Arabic numerals, he developed at length several arithmetical procedures, including operations on fractions. It was through his work that the system of numerals was first introduced to the Arabs and later to Europe through its translations into European languages. He developed in detail trigonometric tables containing the sine function, which were probably extrapolated to tangent functions by Maslama. He also preferred the geometric representation of conic sections and developed the calculus of two errors, which practically led him to the concept of differentiation. He is also reported to have collaborated in the degree measurements ordered by Al-Ma'mun, which were aimed at the measuring of volume and circumference of the Earth.